What is the European Commission Annual Enlargement Report about? It includes assessments on the 10 countries of the Western Balkans, Eastern Europe and Turkey. But I want to focus on the 4 countries that really matter this year: Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia and Bosnia, what they got and how they're all interlinked. Let's start with Ukraine and Moldova. They have so far in this process walked hand in hand. They are coupled, as you say, in EU lingo. The European Commission recommended that they will start accession talks. This means that they will start negotiations on their respective EU membership. In other words, the long and arduous process of making EU laws in all sorts of policy fields, the laws of Ukraine and Moldova. But when will they start? The European Commission has given Ukraine 4 conditions broadly related to fighting corruption and ensuring minority rights, and Moldova 3 conditions dealing with justice and de-oligarchization, and will report back on these issues in March 2024. So early next year is a good guess for both countries when they will start. Georgia is 1 step behind Ukraine and Moldova. What the Commission recommended is candidate status on the understanding that 9 steps are taken. These steps include, for example, fighting disinformation, aligning more with EU foreign policy decisions such as sanctions, and ensuring that next year's parliamentary elections are free and fair. They are, in other words, where Ukraine and Moldova were exactly 1 year ago. Bosnia is the tricky one here. It's somewhere in a halfway house between Georgia on one hand and Ukraine and Moldova on the other hand. It already has candidate status, unlike Georgia, received last year largely as a direct result of the war in Ukraine. But unlike Moldova and Ukraine, the Commission is very vague on the next steps, recommending the opening of accession talks once the necessary degree of compliance with the membership criteria is achieved, and to report back in March. Now, what does that all mean? In 2019, Brussels set out 14 key priorities for Sarajevo to meet: rule of law, non-discrimination, reconciliation, a functioning public administration, etc. Now, Bosnia has not really fulfilled much of those, yet there is a push to move ahead with Bosnia as well. Why? As much as the European Commission says this is a process based on merits, the truth is that the EU enlargement process is in fact political. This is why some of these conditions and priorities are so vague and unmeasurable. And remember, today we just have recommendations. Those who really take decisions are the 27 EU member states, via unanimity, in December. And here we come to how these 4 countries are interlinked. While most EU member states are okay with giving green light to Ukraine or Moldova, some countries, notably Austria, Slovenia and Hungary, want green light for Bosnia as well. The argument is, if we go ahead with countries from the Eastern EU neighbourhood, why not a country from the Western Balkans, especially since they've waited in the EU antechamber for so long? The same can be argued for Georgia. If Bosnia already is a candidate country, why not Georgia? And if Ukraine and Moldova are moving ahead, isn't it wise to let Georgia proceed as well, not leaving it too far behind the other 2? Difficult questions, yes. Various conditions to live up to, sure. But in the end, it is what all 27 EU member states can agree on. In other words, yes, recommendations presented today are important, but the real horse trading on which country gets what on the long path to Brussels starts now, and everything is interlinked.